Verstappen slams Perez with his statement. The Brazilian GP has never failed to surprise us, and it always delivers a top-notch show for the fans. However, this time, it was for all the wrong reasons for Red Bull. The Austrian team had the worst weekend in 2022, and although it didn't really matter due to the fact that they already won both championships, Verstappen's actions have truly made the team's fans and Perez angry. However, the Dutchman has spoken about his actions, brutally slamming Perez for doing what he deliberately did on Sunday. Verstappen's actions go back to Saturday, and this was like an overture to what would actually happen on Sunday. The Dutchman had a bad race and lost 3 positions in the sprint race. This was mostly due to the fact that the medium tyres weren't effective enough as he would have hoped, and him running over a piece of debris from Alonso's front wing and suffering a loss of downforce due to floor damage. Nevertheless, Verstappen finished the race P4 and has a brand new set of soft tyres to use for the race tomorrow, and it seems like that didn't help him a lot due to the fact that he messed up his own race. But we'll get to Sunday later, as we want to explain some of the actions he took on Saturday that got the fans aggravated. Rest assured, this is just the tip of the iceberg. At the ending stages of the sprint race, Perez was closing in on Verstappen, and when the Mexican was able to see the Dutchman ahead of him, he asked whether he could have his position because he needed more points in the fight with Leclerc. After all, he did deserve a little help from Verstappen after all he did for the 2-time world champion in the previous 2 seasons. But the team wasn't really keen on this happening because they remained deaf to Perez's requirements. What is also a very big question mark is Perez's deficit to Verstappen, and Verstappen's defending factor here is that Perez was just too far away and Leclerc was just too close behind the Mexican. Therefore, any attempt to give up the position would have been too risky of Leclerc passing by, and the outcome wouldn't change. Perez managed to increase his lead over Leclerc by 1 point in the Drivers' Championship after the sprint race, but nevertheless, he had no idea what was in store for him on Sunday. After the second safety car restart, Perez was instructed to give the place to Verstappen so that the Dutchman can chase Leclerc ahead of him and cut down points from the Monegasque. The 2-time world champion had 5 laps and 2 cars to pass as a mission, which wasn't really a hard challenge given the time that he had a soft tyre compound mounted. However, the RB18 has proven to be less competitive in Brazil, and it seemed like Verstappen wasn't really able to pass Alonso, let alone Perez. What doesn't sit right with the whole situation is the fact that Perez wasn't given his place back, despite what his team promised. Lambiese, who is Max's engineer, has explained the situation to the 2-time world champion and said that if he fails to achieve what he's been given as a mission, then he is bound to give the spot back to Perez. After all, it's 2 valuable points in the Drivers' Championship, and Perez did give up his position easily and without a fight. So after Verstappen passed the finish line, and after Lambiese asked him what went wrong, the response was pretty harsh, as the Dutchman said, "I told you already last summer, guys, don't ask that again to me, okay? Are we clear about that? I gave my reasons and I stand by it." So what are these reasons? It seems like Verstappen holds a huge grudge after what Perez did in Monaco during the qualifying session. After all, you can't really mess with the 2-time world champion, and he made that known during the Brazilian GP. But after everything that Perez did for Verstappen, could it really be that Verstappen is very unforgiving in situations like in Monaco? And what exactly happened in Monaco? If you recall correctly, the qualifying order in Monaco was fixed under a red flag that was caused by Sergio Perez. The Mexican has spun prior to the entrance of the tunnel, and Verstappen is on a flying lap behind him, with the Dutchman having purple sectors behind his name. However, it appears that Perez's spin was not unintentional, as he later admitted to Marco that he spun deliberately to keep himself ahead of Verstappen in the starting order. At this point, Perez was in 3rd and Verstappen was in 4th, and we all know how hard it is to overtake in Monaco. On top of that, the tyre strategy smiled upon Perez instead of Verstappen, and this was the race in which Perez was able to shed 10 points from the lead of Verstappen. After the race, Perez said that the championship battle is on and that he won't yield to any pressure. Also, Jos Verstappen spoke about the tyre strategy, saying that the team messed up by prioritizing Perez and not Verstappen, who also managed to shed 3 points to Leclerc's lead. After passing through the checkered flag, Perez spoke on the radio about his teammate Verstappen and him not giving back the position that was rightfully his, adding, thank you for that. It just goes to show who he really is. He wouldn't have won his 2 championships without me." Verstappen appears to have forgotten what Perez did in 2021 in Turkey, when he went out of his way to defend against Hamilton in the lower positions in case the Briton caught up to the Dutchman. He also forgot about Abu Dhabi, where he referred to Perez as a legend after the Mexican harshly defended Hamilton while on older tyres. What's even weirder is the fact that Perez's pace started to suddenly drop after the Monaco GP, and many started to speculate whether Red Bull started to build their car and their upgrades more towards Verstappen. According to Horner, what happened in Monaco is a very painful spot for Verstappen due to the fact that Perez tried to beat him in dirty ways, adding, "I know Monaco was a sensitive point for Max when Sergio Perez deliberately crashed his car into the wall and got full points as a result. This was Max's payback." Verstappen spoke about the situation in Brazil himself, adding, "Well, I had my reasons for that. We just discussed that, and I think it was better that we finally sat together and spoke about it, and just move forward from here. For sure, if we go to Abu Dhabi and he needs the points because they've tied, it's not the end of the world. It's about who finishes ahead anyway. If he needs help, I'll be there. But it's good that we talked about it now and basically cleared everything that was there, why I didn't do it." But it goes without saying that Abu Dhabi could be out of Verstappen's hands if Leclerc is ahead of Perez and Verstappen. Instead of Perez going into the final race, which we saw can be detrimental to the outcome, rest assured that the Mexican will have a difficult race. It is true that he will have the support of Verstappen, as the Dutchman has now settled his issues with Perez, but this will leave a very dark mark on Verstappen's reputation. In the future, not many drivers would want to be Verstappen's teammate after how he has treated Perez. The fans aren't really happy with how everything turned out, and the critiques for Verstappen have been through the roof. Some of the comments were, "Perez has been nothing except a team player, a good old pal for Verstappen. This is clearly not intelligent to behave like that. You need an entire team to win races and championships. Just goes to prove once and for all, Max Verstappen is a horrible teammate." Pathetic from Verstappen at the end. Checo has obeyed team orders on so many occasions with no resistance. He can't even do it once, showing his ugly side once again. Who does Max Verstappen thinks he is? So entitled, acts like a petulant child. Can't understand why Checo would want to help him again going forward. Max surely owes him for the amount of times Perez has driven, purely to benefit his title challenges the last 2 seasons. So what lies ahead for Red Bull? It's never good when a driver thinks that he's outgrown the team that provided him 2 world championships, and now there are lots of calls from Red Bull fans for Max to be penalized properly. Although this is very unlikely to happen, we can hope that Red Bull will set their own bill straight with Verstappen and show him that no driver can be above the team. What do you think about Verstappen's actions? Let us know in the comments below.